And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Irada, who during her near-death experience went to hell and saw that all our understanding of good and evil are completely messed up. Irada, thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Irada, we're excited to have you, and if you don't mind, let's just start on the day that you had the experience and go from there.
Whew, okay, all right. So on that day, I was supposed to have just some minor surgery. It's like it was planned, and I was supposed to be in and out of hospital like within an hour, maybe. But everything went wrong that day, right from the beginning. So I came to the hospital. My surgery was postponed, so I had to wait for like an hour and an hour more, and my doctor couldn't come to her shift. Something happened to her, so I kept waiting. She told me to wait a few more hours. I kept waiting. It was already getting late. Then I get this message from the doctor asking if it's okay, if I allow, if instead of her, another doctor does this quick surgery, and it's like if some other doctor replaces her. And because I was already waiting for so many hours, and I thought it's just okay, it's just a minor thing. Why not? I trust the doctors. Let's just do it. So it was already pretty late and getting dark outside. And I thought 1 hour and we'll be done. They take me into the room, and everyone is in a rush. So because like their shift already finished, and I was not on their list anyway, so they just wanted to do it quickly, fast. And there's a nurse, there's this doctor lady who is gonna work with me, and one more doctor, anesthesiologist, who is checking something on me. As initially planned, I was not supposed to have any anesthesia, right, done. And because they were all in this rush, and like everyone is checking the clock and we have to do it quickly, and so nobody asked me, nobody did any tests or checks or anything. Like basically I see I'm already on the, like they're preparing me, I'm on this surgery table, and the nurse is checking my blood pressure. She's injecting something like into my vein, and I'm asking because it's all in such a rush that I didn't really have much time to ask or understand everything. Everyone was like in a rush, and I hear them talking, and I realize that they injected the drug, which was supposed to work as anesthesia to make me like numb and switch me off, basically. But it's not working because like they're talking to me, they're checking if I was supposed to start losing consciousness, or like at least like falling asleep, or start getting losing sensitivity or something. I'm not losing anything. I'm talking to them fully conscious, and I'm asking questions. I'm trying to, and they look worried because time is going and they're in a rush, and this drug is not working, and they don't understand like why it's not affecting me in any way at all. I'm fully conscious. I'm fully aware. Like they check blood pressure, everything is fine. And then this anesthesiologist, the doctor, has the like great idea. He assumes, okay, he calculated the dosage wrong, he says, and probably it's because like he didn't consider that I'm pretty tall, and at that time I was doing really heavy powerlifting, and so I had a lot of muscle mass on my body. So he made the conclusion that the drug didn't work on me, didn't affect me, because it was not enough. The dosage was not good enough for like my height and my muscle mass. So he tells the nurse to double the dosage. So before I understand anything, because like it's happening, I'm telling it like as if it took some time, but actually it was going so fast that I couldn't really control anything. I was just like following after they just right away, the nurse comes and she injects the second dose of that drug, which was supposed to put me to sleep, but instead my blood pressure just dropped just right away. As she injected it, my blood pressure dropped and heart stopped at that moment as she injected. At that moment, like panic started for them, but that's their story. I'll tell what I was experiencing when that happened. So that's where all the fun began for me. It just basically started as a mess. And suddenly I feel that my body gets heavy. Like suddenly it got heavy as like a rock, like a piece of rock. And that feeling was like I felt surprised, like I was felt so heavy that I should have been pushing, my weight should have been pushing through the bed, through the floor, through the earth. That's how heavy I felt. Then second, it was going very fast. I suddenly felt very heavy. Then suddenly I felt very dry, like not just my mouth, but the whole body just dried out, suddenly dried out, which was a very weird sensation. And the third one was freezing cold. I felt freezing cold, like shivering my whole body. And it all went so fast, like very quickly, heavy, dry, cold, and then the breath. I couldn't take the breath, the last. And later, when I researched everything later, I found description in Tibetan Book of the Dead. They describe as that process of dying. They tell that's the process of elements dissolving from like as the process of dying. There will be a dissolution of elements, and it goes in such a way. First, the element of earth dissolves, then the element of water, then the element of fire, and the last element of air leaves the body, and that's when you will be freed. That's in the book. It's written. I found it later, just to understand what I was experiencing. But it was going so fast, and the next thing I see after like that breath, I couldn't take the breath. The next thing, I realized that I'm in some space that I'm the space of complete darkness, and not black space, because the color of black, like to paint something black, you would need a surface to paint, but there's no surface. It's just dark emptiness, and it's like it's so huge, it's so vast. And right before I had that experience, before I saw myself in darkness, my last thought that I had right before it happened, I remember myself looking at the wall in front of me and thinking this last thought, that it's already so late, so dark outside, and my mom doesn't know where I am. I should have told my mother where I was going, and it's so late. How am I gonna get back home? Because this hospital is so far from my house, and I should have called my brother so that he could pick me up when I'm done. That was my last thought. And now when I appear in that darkness, I, in that huge dark ocean, I don't know, I can't find proper words to describe it, but when I was in there, I noticed that there is like far in distance, there were like little tiny particles of light, just little lights somewhere in that corner. And because there was nothing else there to look at or to focus on, but those lights, they took my attention, and I tried to focus on those lights. And as I was focusing on them, I noticed that they started coming out of that darkness, coming closer to me. And when like each particle, when it was coming closer, as it comes closer, I realized that this piece of light is a concept. And by looking at it, by focusing on that piece of light, by focusing on it, I'm thinking this concept. And this concept is a concept of a mother, having a mother. I was like, okay, all right. And there's few more lights. And when I focus on the next one, when I focus, it's kind of like coming out of the darkness. Like by focusing on it, I was kind of pulling it out of the darkness with my attention. It was coming closer and growing, growing, growing. When it comes close enough, I realized that it is a concept of my brother. And in a similar way, it was like the next light was the telephone, the concept of having like a telephone that I needed to call. The like road is long, car by which he would pick me up. So I realized that my process of thinking the thought, that last thought that I was thinking in the hospital, looking at the wall about my mother, brother, road, telephone call, and it was this one thought, but it now consisted of few concepts, each of which was a particle of light. And when I don't focus on them, they are just like seem like little particles somewhere far in that distant darkness. But my focus on those particles brings them out of that darkness. And when I bring them close enough, if I hold them long enough, if I focus on them like well enough, I'm able to think this concept. I'm able to think this thought. And I'm able to realize that this is a concept of mother, brother, and so on. And I realized that my thought consists of this cycle. So that's what I was doing. I was pulling them one by one in a cycle, mother, then the road, then the brother, then the telephone, then the car. And I was pulling concepts one by one out of that darkness. And that was my process of thinking, that thought, which consisted of few concepts, each of which I had to be pulling out. And that's what I was doing for a while, just going in a cycle, thinking that one thought in a like slow motion. Like here, when we think thoughts, we do the same thing, but we do it so quickly, we're not able to catch the process, what our thought consists of. There, it was just all slowed down. So I was able to observe what this thought consists of and how I'm able to think it. And then I made a few circles around that thought, doing the same thing. And then on the one of these next circles, I realized that the number decreased. There is like one concept missing. One of these pieces of lights, one particle, was gone. I couldn't pull it out. It was because it required effort from me to pull that, to focus. I had to focus so well on that one particle. By focusing, I was bringing it out. When it comes close enough, it's a thought. But that's work, and I had to be doing it, and it was getting harder and harder to do that. So I was pulling it out, and I lost one, and I couldn't remember what I lost. I remember there was something, but what I like apparently the first concept I forgot was the concept of mother. It was like as if that concept ever never existed. It was like the concept of ever having mothers, not my specific mother, not specific woman, but generally a concept of people having mothers. It was completely erased, as if I've never known that ever. It just disappeared. I couldn't pull it out from that darkness. But like I felt like I forgot something important, but I don't remember what. Like there's no way I can remember. It's gone. I don't have power to bring it back out. So I kept thinking the rest of the thought. So the rest was like still there was the telephone, there was brother, there was a car. So I kept thinking that part of the thought. And slowly, my powers were like leaving me, I guess. And it was getting harder and harder to bring those lights out of the darkness. But I felt like I need to keep thinking. That was the feeling that is like, no, I don't understand where I am. I don't need to think about this. I just need to keep thinking. I need to keep trying to focus on those lights. That's what I was trying to do over and over. And I realized I lost the concept of brother in the same way. I forgot that I've ever known such a concept, that a brother ever existed, that there is such thing as brothers. And just like I felt I lost some concept. I have no idea what it was. So I kept thinking, and there was in that cycle, there was only a few lights left, and there was like me thinking this thought. Then there's telephone, a road, and this thought stopped making any sense to me. I was like, what am I thinking? Like, it's like road and telephone, and what is telephone? Why do I need it? Who am I gonna call? I don't know anyone. And so I felt there is no purpose to keep thinking this thought because it doesn't make sense anymore. So I felt less and less energized to keep focusing on those. There's like, I felt like, what's the point? And it was getting harder. So one more light uh, just dissipated. And there was like 2 or 3 last mm, lights left. I kept trying to go on that, even though that thought didn't make any sense already, but I kept doing it. I was like, that's my purpose now. I need to keep doing that because there's nothing else here to do. So that's what I should be doing. Otherwise, like, I didn't know what's gonna be next. So I kept thinking that one useless thought. And until the moment when the last particle that was left was the concept of me. That was like me. It was like, what am I gonna think? There's nothing to think. But there was still a concept of me. I'll just think that concept of me. And I was like, okay, I don't know where, what, in which world, on which planet, what was my life, what was my life story, what, like, I don't know anything. I don't know any concepts. There's no concepts to operate with. There is just this dark, this black emptiness, and I'm in it, and there is only one light, and that one light is the concept of me. And I was like, okay, I'll just think this. And I was just focusing on this one light, trying to keep focusing on this one light. As long as I'm able to focus on it, I exist. I was like, as long as, whose quote was that? As long as I think, I am. That's what I was experiencing. Like, okay, as long as I'm thinking, it means I'm still existing. So that's what I was doing. I was forcing myself to at least focus on this one thought of me, having no idea, not the identity, not the personality, not Irada as I am, just me, just I am. Don't know where, don't know who, but I am. And I kept just focusing on this one light until I start noticing that now this one is also moving away from me. It's like I'm losing the grip, and it's going, and it's getting harder and harder to hold it, to focus on it. And it's getting smaller and smaller and going away from me, and I couldn't hold it anymore. In the moment that, like, I felt I lost that one last light, this part I have to, that was the scariest part.
Let me stop you for one moment
Okay,
while we're here. And I think it's a good time to ask this.
okay.
At this point, did you realize that you had died? Did you
No,
understand, or you?
to understand something, you need the thinking process. To understand, to be able to think something, you need a thinking process. And like a thinking process, like to understand that I'm dying or I died, I need to know that I exist, who, personality, human on earth, what is life, what is death. These are all concepts. And I had no power to operate with these concepts. There was like, these concepts were long gone. I lost them. I think when the elements were leaving my body, I lost majority of those concepts. So my last concept that I was able to think was that last thought. That was like, it consisted of these few concepts, the last ones that I was thinking right before I switched off. So I didn't know I didn't know what I am, where I am, why. Just like I was just experiencing emptiness, and it was like I had no idea what is like, what am I, from where. I had no history. I had no just basically no answer.
Would you say that you were on the operating table, you were
Mhm.
talking, and then instantaneously you jumped from there to the black's void?
When it's described as going somewhere, I didn't experience, I clearly felt that it's happening in the same place, like location wise. I knew that it's like space didn't change. It's the same space. I'm still there. Just the reality dissipated. It just fell apart. It's like as if I was holding this reality by thinking about it. and I had no more power to think about it, like about the body, about these doctors, about this hospital. It was like it's a lot of work to do, like to construct this reality by force, by my living force. That's what I was doing, I guess, before. And when they switched me off from the body, appeared that I don't have enough resources to keep thinking this. So I didn't go anywhere technically, not like I'm going to heaven or hell, like waving to the planet, moving somewhere. I was not moving in space. I felt like I'm still in the same spot where I was, just it all just fell apart, crumbled. The physical reality disappeared, and I was like left in the emptiness, that I realized that actually it was always emptiness. I was performing some work which filled this emptiness with concepts and things by thinking, by thinking thoughts and thinking people. I was constructing them. I felt that clearly, that I was like, it was work that I was doing my whole life, not realizing it. And the moment that I was like, they switched me off from being able to do that, I realized that I was always there in that emptiness. And when I have no power to construct, there's no hospital, no doctors for me. So as for traveling, I didn't feel I went anywhere.
Are you saying that you were basically in the same place, but you just went into a different dimension?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
or would it be that the dimension that we all live in just disappeared?
To participate in the dimension that we're participating in now, this participation requires a lot of work. Like we're not we're not conscious of that we're doing this work all the time, but we're not just like, for example, now we're talking. This is not the only job that we're doing right now. Our consciousness is actually constructing all, like the body, the computer, like so many elements. I'm conscious of so many things, and also I'm conscious of this conversation. It's just one minor thing of all the things of in 3D that I'm currently holding in my reality. I'm constructing and holding them all the time. That's what I realize, how huge is the work that we're doing all the time. Just being human, you're like, I just have this body. No, you're constructing it. It's a huge work. And it really, that's why, like, why can't we have, people ask me sometimes, my students, like, why can't we have that consciousness of that high dimensions while being here in the physical? Why can't you just, that's the point. Just being physical is so much work for consciousness, because it's like, technically, when I asked for numbers, they gave me like numbers around 80%. 80% of my power of my consciousness I'm spending just to constantly reconstruct my body. So there is only like 20% of my potential is left to reach some understanding or some, that's why we're like, yeah, once I leave the body, then my potential is more available to me.
All
I
right.
don't know if I'm answering the question, but that was the feeling, that I was like, I was doing the work. I never realized that I was doing the work all the time. Like just being me, being in this world is a lot of work for consciousness. And no question, no wonder why, like, by just being, a lot of humans are already exhausted. They're like, it takes all of my powers. Just being, just existing is a lot. And if you can free up some energy there to think about things and realize, that's an accomplishment.
Hmm.
Because when we're outside of the body, there's like no weight of this. So as for 3D is hard to participate in. It's a lot of work.
And so instead of this realm that we live in being created for us, we actually are all creating it together collectively.
Yeah, collectively. And yeah, we make agreements like, do you like what I created? Do you want to participate in mine? But actually we personally create our own reality by ourselves. It's not even collective. It's just like personal. I'm creating it, and like you might be able to perceive my creation as what I perceive it, but in many times, as I've observed, people might be looking at the same thing, that I've created something and I'm looking at it, I think it's beautiful, and you look at it, you don't see any beauty in it. So what you look at my creation, when you look at my creation, you create it your own way. So like, is it collective? If we agree, you might like my creation as well. But we all create the personal. And maybe once we reach a certain level, when what you create and what I create are pretty much the same, then it becomes collective.
At first, it appeared that you were describing the death of your ego. But to me, it's so much more, because it's not only the ego, but your whole construct,
Yeah,
which I
that's
guess
ego.
could be the same thing, right?
Yeah, it is the same thing, because that's all I was until that moment. I was that, and that's the explanation actually for why when I describe like the place that I've been to as hell, why I use that word specifically, is because like basically my life until that moment was just ego, nothing else. It was just, I was so full of myself. So my life basically was hell, even though I didn't realize it at that moment. And life of all the people around me was hell. I was creating perfect hell for everyone who was around me all the time. And I was living in hell, and I was pretty good. I was feeling good. I was actually enjoying it.
So you're saying that your whole construct while living was a hellish one.
It was like, that's how I can describe it now. But at that moment, well, before that moment, I was absolutely sure that I am the, how to say, the I don't know the word to use. I was like the best person ever. I felt that I'm so good. I'm so right. I'm so honest. I'm so truthful. I'm so for the good things. I was a warrior all my life. That's who I was. Like since I was born, because I was raised in a family where they were like, you can be anywhere, anyone you want, but you must be a good person. You must be a good human. That Soviet mentality, like comrade, you have to be good, you have to be right. And I was like, good, right. And they didn't realize when they taught me to be good, to fight for good, always for good things, they didn't realize how much power I have actually. They taught me to fight, and they didn't realize that if I fight, it's like if someone wants to fight back, I will destroy, because I'm fighting for something good. I was like, and I didn't realize that I was actually the most evil person that I've ever met in my life. Until that moment of near-death experience, I never realized. I thought I was angel. I thought I was like saving people, helping people, teaching people. But the way I was doing it, I never realized that with the power that I had, with the potential that I had, I like any which words should I use? So I would, for example, what do you need to become evil? Like recipe. I have like clear recipe. To be evil, you only need two things. You need to be smart, intelligent, and stubborn. That's all you need to become evil. That's what I was always since I was born. I was like very clever, very smart, very like intelligent in a way. I could find solutions, find ways, and I was so stubborn that if I couldn't go that way, I would just keep pushing and keep pushing until like you would give up first, and I would still get my way because I know how it must be, and you don't know. If you don't ask me, that was my position. Like I was the smartest one. I know like I know solution for everyone, for anything. And if you don't understand it, I don't care. I'm gonna push my way. And that was my like I lived in that righteous anger my whole like I'm gonna fix the world. I'm gonna fix all people. I'm gonna fix my family, my boyfriends, my colleagues, my like I fixed everything. And I didn't care how many people I damaged along the way. I was like, because I'm doing good. You're good. You're going to be happy at the end. You don't understand now. You don't need to understand. And that's the mentality. Just if you imagine Hitler, for example, what you need to become Hitler. He was smart and stubborn. Smart and stubborn. That's all you need to become like he was. Like I'll find you don't want to do it my way. Okay, I'll find another way to convince you. I will convince you. I will push you. Everybody is already tired of pushing, and he's still persisting. That's what makes evil. You don't need anything else. You don't need actually bad intentions. I always had good intentions. So did Hitler. He's like, his intention was actually like, he thought that idea that he has that perfect image that he wants to create, that perfect world I'm going to create. Just wait, people. You don't understand. Yeah, some people will have to be damaged in the process, but at the end, you will like the result. That was my, like, that's how I was living. And I, at that moment, I reached my peak of the level of evil that I could have possibly created. I've broken almost all the people that I've damaged, anyone who ever loved me. I gave harm to pretty much like so many people, and I never felt any regret or shame because I always knew that my intention was good. That's the concept of good and evil. That's where we get messed up. When we're told, when we're little growing up, and parents are telling us that you have to be good. When someone is telling you you have to be good, it means, it implies that you are not good the way you are. Like, just when you're telling you have to be good, it means that like, if you tell me I have to be good, you're implied that I am bad. So that's already where a fight begins. Now I have to prove you that I am not bad. It's just you don't understand. You are bad. And that concept of good and bad, it gets messed up right there in the very beginning. So I was fighting for good, but I was fighting. I was really fighting, and I was a very strong fighter. So I was fighting and destroying people and damaging lives, but I was fighting for good. So that was like my explanation, like why I'm doing it. And I felt that I'm the purest and the most honest, that my intentions are so good. And in that near-death experience, I realized that, oops, it was never, I never did any good. I caused more harm. I damaged more people than I've loved or.
All right, well, I sidetracked you. Let's go back to your NDE. You're at your
Okay.
last concept of self, and then it appears that that concept disappears as well. Then what happened?
That was the moment of absolute terror. The feeling, like I didn't have the body to feel the feeling, but my consciousness was still there. And what I was experiencing, if I would have to translate it into physical terms, if I would have a body, I would have to describe it as my body being torn alive into pieces and cut and burnt. And that's the amount of pain that I was experiencing, even though I didn't have the body. My consciousness was experiencing that amount of pain and terror, and it all summed up to the fear of non-existing. I was so afraid to not exist, because like that's what, like, my ego, and that's me. I was like, that's so important that I am. If I am not, then, and that idea of non-existing, when that last moment, I think I missed, when I lost that last particle, I was like, my consciousness was, I was questioning, okay, I don't know, I don't remember anything. I have no concepts anymore in my mind to think, but I'm still looking at this, at this space from somewhere. So there should be a point from which I'm looking. So that's a proof that maybe I still am somewhere, if I'm looking, if I have that. And that moment when I had that thought, right away, I gained total vision, like 360 degrees, and I was not anywhere. I was like part of this ocean of empty darkness, and I was there, I was still existing, but I was not anywhere. And just that feeling of uh, terror of not existing was so painful for me that that's what felt like hell. That's what is described in the books. When if later I would have to write some religious book and I would have to describe, you will go to, if you will be a bad person, you will go to hell. That's how I would describe that. You will be tortured by demons, you would be tortured by whatever, devils, cut, burned. I would have to use those terms, but actually in that space there is no concepts, and that's the most terrifying thing, is that there's like your consciousness wants to exist and there is no proof of your existence, and that terror of being part of this emptiness and not knowing, maybe. I don't know. It's so hard to explain because in that space there's like no concepts, and so when I'm describing, I'm adding concepts. I'm making them up just to simplify, to explain. But my experience of that field was that actually this whole darkness around me was information. I felt like I'm part of this ocean, and this ocean is very dense information. There's like a lot of like very compressed information, and it's empty, but it's so, how you say, it's pushing on me. It's so it's pressing on me, and it felt like so heavy the way that it was pressing on me. At the same time, I felt like it's too much information for me. There's no way I can handle this much information, even though I'm part of it. And at that moment, I felt like I have access to all information that ever was and ever will be. I've like this total consciousness that you have, like, you know, the future, past of all the universes, you know everything, but you know too much, and that's so painful. That condensed information is pushing on you, and it's so painful to be part of it, but not be able to express it in any way because there's no concepts to express, to experience that information. So it was just pushing on me that I'm part of this, and that's what felt like terror. That's what felt like animal fear and pain, and it was just too heavy on me. And my fear of non-existing was at the same time a desire to exist. So that was my moving like impulse. Like I couldn't handle this pressure of this empty dark matter and compressed information on me. I wanted to start existing. I wanted to exist, to get out of this darkness. I wanted to exist, and that desire to exist then felt like, in order to exist, what I need to do, I need to find lights in this whole darkness, which I am. I have to find light, like finding lights, and it felt like like extracting files maybe from this huge storage of information. If you catch like one little light, you pull that file out, you're able to focus on it, you're able to think about it, and that pulls you into existing. You can be this concept when while you're thinking it, you're existing already. And that's what I was like, I want to my first desire was to exist. And like I feel it now when I explain. I feel that was the activation of the top chakra, like desire to exist. And in order to exist, I felt I need to be able, like in this vast field of information, I need to be able to think. And this is activation of like desire to think. But to think thoughts in this vast ocean of compressed information, it requires so much strength to think thoughts, because I need to find a light, I need to pull it out of that darkness, I need to bring it closer, I need to turn it into a concept, I need to formulate it, I need to give it a form. Once I give it a form, I need to express it in words or in something. I need to give it expression. And that desire to express is already activating the throat chakra. That desire to express was the next step. And the moment when I experienced that desire to express, I see myself back in the 3D hospital room. That desire to express was enough for me to pull me back into 3D reality, to express. And while I'm in this hospital room, and I see the whole thing from like level of like below the ceiling. I'm looking at this whole whatever is happening. At the same time, I still have that knowledge of everything. I still remember everything, all that whole field of information. I still remember it, and I can see and know everything that's happening in the next room, in the hallway, like everywhere. But my attention is focused on this room and on this one doctor lady who is screaming. She's shouting, and she takes all of my attention. And I look at her, and I see, like, generally what I see in this hospital room. I see my body on this table, and like the feeling that's so usual, I think, for NDEs. I look at this body and I feel like disgusted. Like I feel like that's the ugliest thing that I've ever seen. And it like some piece of meat, some like it looks so, feels so shapeless and so disgusting to me. Like it can't be mine. I can't go into this. It's too disgusting. That's how I've looked at it. I knew that that was mine, but I had absolutely no desire. Like, there's no way I'm going into that. It's too disgusting. Really, it visually was disgusting to me, even though like I think I'm okay physically. But what I saw from the point of view of consciousness, it was like I've created something so terrible. I could have done a lot better. That was my feeling. And I was looking at that table. The doctors are still doing something, and this one lady, the main doctor, she is running around and screaming and cursing, and she's cursing like using all the language that she can possibly me towards me for dying, because this operation was not scheduled. It was not on her shift. It was not her shift, and it was officially, it was illegal. So illegal, they have a dead body. So somebody is gonna go to jail for this. And these doctors are screaming at each other like, who's gonna be responsible? You're gonna go to jail. No, you are gonna go to jail. And they are discussing like, no, it was not. Who agreed? You agreed. Why did you agree? I didn't want to take it. My shift is over. And they're arguing, and I'm listening. And because they're cursing in Turkmen language, not in my native language, but I look like Russian, so I assume that they don't realize I'm thinking. They don't realize that I understand them. And so my desire, I want to tell them, stop cursing. I understand you. I felt that desire to tell them to, like, you probably don't know, but I understand your language. I understand what you're saying. Stop cursing. And I want to tell her that to that doctor, but I feel like I'm trying to tell, and I figure out that I don't know how to like send the message. I'm sending that signal, and like it's not going. Like she's not here. I felt surprised. Like, why is she not? Like, why is my message not going? Why is she not hearing me? And so for those of you who are trying to communicate with your dead relatives or whoever you try to reach from the other side, that's the feeling. Like it's so much work for the consciousness, for the soul to contact. There's like, actually I was putting so much effort to send the message, but the fact that she was not listening, she was not open to it, like I was putting all my efforts and she was still yelling and screaming. So I was like, I tried so hard, I couldn't figure out the way. How do I send the message? How do I tell her to stop cursing? That because I understand. And my desire to express what I know, that's what pulled me back into the body. I suddenly realized that I'm already back in the physical body. Now I have this machine to be able to tell her, to express what I want to say. And I'm back in the body, and I see this anesthesiologist standing in like on top of me, and he noticed some light probably in my eyes, that like some life returned, and so he started yelling at me, at my face, started yelling, "What's your name?" He wanted to get like me back, to get me communicating. And he was yelling at, looking down at my face and yelling, "What's your name? What's your name?" And inside, I know the answer. I was like, I know what he wants to hear. He wants to hear Irada. It was so clear. Like, I know what he's asking for. And then my next thought, like, how do I let him know? Now, how do I send this message? And I try to, like, I know the answer. He keeps yelling. He keeps screaming, looking at my face and yelling that question. And I was like, okay, I'll try to, and I'm trying to send that message. Like, I'm trying to send it through, like, the body. Like, I'm forcing it, like, through my belly. It's not going. I'm, like, through my chest. It's not, I'm sending that signal. I'm sending the message. Irada. That's what he wants to hear. I'm trying, like, through my forehead, through my eyes. It's not going. And then I try through my mouth, and it worked. It's like it didn't sound like human speech. It was like just some mumble. I don't know. Came out some more like animal roar. It came out at first, but I was like, oh, it works. That's how this body communicates through here, I figured that out. And this also gave me some insight on later when I had experience working with people who were like paralyzed or who were went through some injury. So some kids were injured during birth and they cannot communicate properly. And you sometimes talk to them and you look in their eyes and they're like, their mothers are saying like, I don't know, does she understand me or not? I kind of like see in her eyes, like she knows what I'm asking, but she can like, the words that are coming out of her mouth are like just some mess of sounds and it doesn't sound like speech. To those mothers and to those people who try to communicate with paralyzed relatives, I can clearly say like there is the answer. Like the person knows like the answer. He's trying to communicate. He just cannot figure out what's the way how to use this machine properly to send the message. Because like if you see in the eyes, they're like saying they're trying to telepathically send the message. They're trying to communicate through the eyes because the answer is there. Like the girl or that paralyzed man, I know he knows the answer. I know the answer. Like I'm here. If the consciousness is in the body, as long as the body is alive, it means consciousness is here. It's present. So if it's present, it's there, it's working, and it knows the answer. The problem is like to remember, how do I use this machine again? How do I talk through this? Like what is like, okay, this vocal cords, oh, this is how we talk, all right. So I figured that out pretty fast. And well, that was the next stage already. They all realized that probably they're not going to jail this week. And so I was back, but I was in complete shock because like, what now? Okay, all right, I'm here. Next, what now? Because I was so shocked from that experience still, that terror, I could not just disconnect. And I was like, now that I've seen that, now what? Now what do I do? Okay, I'm back in this body, now what? And my one and only question at that moment was, I could see doctors still running, they're trying to do something, I don't know. But I'm focused again, looking at that wall again, and I'm thinking, okay, God, I didn't die this time, but I'm gonna die eventually. Is there anything I can do so that my next death is not like that? Because that was my one and only like question to the wall. And from the wall, I felt like a warm wave of light coming over me, like just wave. And it was not, I cannot describe it as a voice. I cannot describe it. It was again, like I function in concepts only. So it was a concept that just washed over me. A concept, the closest way to describe it is the concept of love. But it washed over me and it gave me like, I suddenly felt like safe and relaxed. I calmed down. I felt like, okay, now I know. Okay, now I have the answer. Now I know what to do. Now I'm safe. Now, okay, it's going to be all right. That was the feeling. But the concept of love is again, it's not like, it's again, same as good and evil, not what we have been taught, not what I've ever thought that love is something like a feeling or something like a relationship between people or whatever. It was, love is actually the heaviest concepts of all. It is this concept is the biggest concept that exists in our reality. And this concept includes everything that exists in this reality. That's how big it's. Like, it's everything. Like, at the same time, when I try to unpack that concept, like, what is love? Like, what am I supposed to do? Should I find someone and love him, like, with all my force? Or like, what should I do? And I felt that this concept of love is not about doing something. It's not about acting in a certain way. That concept is the concept of being. Just the concept of being. It includes everything that is in this reality that we exist. So this concept, I can say that it was love. I can say that it was a concept, ocean, or sky, or God, or tree. It was like any concept you can put, mother, or whatever concept, like any concept in this reality can be made equal to the concept of love, because it's the biggest and the hardest to understand. But once we understand it, that's when we solve, that's when we become human. That's my realization. And that's like the biggest task of all, to understand what love is. If we understand that, we solve the whole equation.
So you're saying that the concept of love is basically the concept of everything?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the like the heaviest file of all. Like, that's how I function. Is like, if that ocean of information in which I was, that dark, full of fear, that emptiness, was like compressed data, it was like so heavy and so compressed. So the love is like that, but already unzipped. That all information, if there it's compressed and I cannot unzip it, like, what are these files? What are they saying? What are they telling me? So much, too much. And let's say if that's darkness, then the light is that all of that darkness unzipped. That's the concept of love. All of that information unzipped. Once you understand everything, that's love. Once you understand that how this world works, that's love.
Do you think that at the point when you entered the black void that you would have just surrendered to everything that happened, then you would have unzipped that file to the concept of everything? But the resistance created the hell.
Exactly. Because that's me. That's what I was. I was resistance. I was like, my whole life was resistance. I was born to resist. My name is willpower. So I was born to resist, and that's what I was good at, and that's what brought me to that point. And being unable to surrender to that darkness, I felt like I have to resist, because that's what I do. I resist to everything, and there was no point to resist to this darkness, because it was too big and it was just swallowing me. And I felt like that's why I felt powerless, because I was like, it was pointless to fight. It was too big for me. That's the whole concept of evil. You're fighting with it, just it will swallow you. As long as you resist, it's gonna swallow you for sure. If you resist, it's gonna swallow you. The moment you uh, give in and surrender, you find out that it was light all along.
Obviously, the majority of the near-death experiencers don't have a hellish experience like you had. So I'm assuming that they all just end up surrendering and
Much
accepting.
faster. There, it. That was the thing, that who gets the hellish experience is the one who lasts longer. I kept fighting. I was like, no, this is not enough. I kept fighting, and that's what made me. That's what caused that whole experience. So usually, I think I mentioned that in our chat, that later, when I did work on my previous lifetimes and reincarnations, I did remember other deaths, and I can feel the difference in that, like, the different deaths that you can possibly experience. They do depend on the level of power you currently have for resisting. I don't know if I'm phrasing it. So I had different deaths. Not all of them were, not in all of them I was going to hell. I had different ones, and I was giving up much easier. And in this one, I was like, I was just feeling that I can fight longer, and that's what created hell.
So going forward, next time, what will you do? Just accept or even think about God?
No, actually, since then it took me. It's been 12 years. For 12 years, I didn't go out and speak publicly about this experience because I was working on figuring out like who I need to be in order for my life to be like I should feel good in my life if I'm like because my death was hell because my life was hell as well. So I spent actually these 12 years figuring out what I need to be and what I need to do in order for the next death. Like if it happens today, I know that I'm gonna experience joy because I figured the main concept. It took me a lot of work and a lot of effort to realize that the best thing I can possibly do and my mission is to just be. Because I always thought I have to be something, like because you have to be good. That's way to hell. It's like I was trying to like if you're weak and you try to be good, you try to be good and you fail quickly and you surrender quickly. But if you're strong, you'll try to be good with so much power that you will end up in hell. It's like I would just make revolutions. I will cause wars to prove people that they're wrong because I have energy for that. And I will create hell here and I will go to hell at the moment of death. So because I was trying to be something, that was the main illusion that I had to break down in these 12 years, realizing that it's enough to just be. Just be. You are already something. You don't have to be something else. You are born with whatever you are. It's already beautiful. That's what you are. Just be that. And don't try to be better. Because like if you try to be better with my perfectionism, like I'll kill people just to prove my point.
Within the Tibetan Book of the Dead, does it describe this black void that you speak of or anything
Mhm.
else within your experience?
Yeah, I actually found so many. The point about that book is that they're talking in their language and the culture when they are raised actually knowing about all these deities, these gods, all different names and all that. So they are raised in that culture. They are aware of those concepts. They operate with those concepts. So that book uses those concepts to describe things. So that was the like if I'm not raised with those concepts, I don't know those names and of those gods, I will not see exactly them. So it's very much connected to what you know, what concepts you are currently operating with. That's what you're going to like deal with. You're dealing with it here. You're gonna deal with it there. So it goes in parallel in technical, like on the technical side, it's describing the same process that you will be facing your biggest fear. And my biggest fear was the fear of not being me, like not being, and that fear is gonna. And the Book of the Dead actually tells, like it tells, gives the instruction, like when you see that, don't run, remember who you are. I was like, I wish somebody would have told me. Now I know, okay, that's because I run. I run. When I saw that fear, I lost all. I was like, I gave up. I forgot completely who I was, where I was, and now I know the recipe for successful transition from reincarnation to reincarnation is to carry the memory of who I am, to carry the full memory. So that's what I'm doing for these 12 years. I'm restoring the memory of my past reincarnations, and I'm collecting it all memories of this life, that life. I'm collecting, restoring full memory of who I am. And the task is to be able to hold it all, and in the moment of death, when you're scared with that fact of you're not going to exist, to keep remembering who you are. Then you're calmly transitioning to the next lifetime, carrying that little bag that I've been given. You know, if you've seen that symbol of bag on ancient sites, there's there. I think the scientists are still discussing what could that bag mean. What could
Right.
that bag
Yeah, it's
mean?
interesting.
My guides told me that bag is the knowledge of who you are. That is knowing of who you are. Like, don't forget who you are. Carry that, because it holds knowledge of everything that you are. Because in the moment of death, when we're not ready, on when we are confused in all these concepts, good, bad, hell, heaven, we're confused. The moment we face death, we're so shocked that we just lose all. We just forget all, and in that shock, we just lose consciousness. From that shock, when we lose consciousness, we lose memory, and so we get back our consciousness when we're already back in new body, newly born, zero, starting from zero, no memory. Who am I? Where am I? Have to start from zero again. So that symbol of a bag was used for, like, remember who you are, remember when you are passing, remember who you are, just carry that knowledge, and then the passage is soft and you don't have to start from zero again, ever, again and again.
How are you restoring the memories of your past lives?
I'm working closely with my spiritual guides already. I've learned the thing about that experience. Sorry.
Sorry.
That experience when I was in that ocean of black matter, in that information, I've actually not forgotten any of it. I held it all. Like, I was like, I still have access to all of that. The problem when I returned, I was like, I couldn't figure out, like, what do I do with this? Because I cannot formulate it. I still have access. I still remember all of it. I still have, like, I still have it all in my consciousness, access to all of this field of information. But I was, first 3 months, I was like, I felt I'm losing my mind. I'm just going, because I couldn't connect, like, how do I live in this body and still have access to that? Like, it was crazy, but I found a way. I found teachers, and I found access to skills and tools which allowed me to restore, at least to accept that I'm not crazy. I didn't lose my mind. It was just that information is so heavy and so just basically heavy. There's a lot of information there, and a normal consciousness just closes itself from that. Like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Just switch it off. Just remove it. I just want to live. Just leave me alone. It's too heavy. It's painful. And because of my desire to know, I never let that go. I was like, no, it's painful. Yeah, it hurts, but I'm going to keep holding. I'm going to keep holding. I'm going to find a way to open up the files, unzip. And I did find a way. I actually created the method. That's, my channel is called Irada method. Is actually, like, I've found a way how to use this physical machine, this avatar, in the most effective way to bring that knowledge in, and not to lose your mind, just to bring knowledge, memories, information, to bring how to use it. And that's, I wrote that book called Method, about this technology, how to use this machine, like a manual for human body, how to use it. And I'm following that logic, and it helped me to use this machine in the most efficient way, not to overload it, not to be afraid of the darkness, not to be afraid of evil, not to be afraid of devil, hell, and I understand that all that dark stuff, evil, hell, reptilians, all that, is just compressed data. It's just compressed information, which, if you're not ready to download it and unzip, it scares you. Yeah, it's too heavy, it's painful, you don't want to deal with it. You close the way and you call it evil. You call it, like, they want to control us, they want to attack us. Like, but if you know how to use this machine properly as just a computer, you know that there's sometimes you need to clean the cache memory, you have to clean the trash bin for it to operate better. But we never get the manual for the body. When we just get the body as kids, like, use it, go ahead. And what we do, when end up overloading it, and we don't have tools for clearing up the cache memory, restoring and storing the files. But if we do it properly, we actually have capacity to bring all of that darkness here, all of that information, to hold it, to unzip it, and that's what I do. That's where I get the information about my past reincarnations, about all the concepts that I'm working with, and it allows me to help people and explain them things that there's information that they're searching for, because I still remember all that ocean of information, and I'm not afraid of it. I know that I'm from there, and I have capacity. I've figured out how to hold it and not run. And I had to adjust my life to that. It's like I figured out that I need a lot more rest to be able to hold that information, not in that lifestyle that I was raised. Like, you have to go, you have to accomplish, you have to set these goals and standards. Like, when I was pushing myself in my younger years, I ended up in hell. I was like, with that speed, that's the only way. But to be able to work effectively with this body it appeared that this body needs so much rest, really so much rest and nurturing, and to be able to download a new file, to get, for example, I get a request for like past lives or past some concept that I want to understand. I just give a request, then I prepare the body for receiving. The information comes, I already have technology how to unzip it, turn it into a concept, find proper words to explain it to myself first, and then to others if they ask. So that's where I get appeared that I've been doing this for many lifetimes. So it's a skill. I didn't just learn it. I thought that I was like, as a kid, I thought I was special. Actually, it's just memories of many lifetimes being a shaman, being a priest, and actually learning, gaining those skills for many, many, many lifetimes. And that's what allows me to hold, not be afraid of that heaviness of that information, and to be able to bring it and formulate it and express it. Because apparently that's what I came for. That was my main intention that pulled me back into 3D, to express what I know.
You've mentioned that you communicate with your guides. How did
Mhm.
you get the ability to do that? And was that before or after your NDE?
After, because after that first 3 months, as after that experience, I was living in between the worlds. I was like, I couldn't figure out, like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, I still see that, and I'm here, and like, what now? I was for about 3 or 4 months, I was just like a vegetable. I was just walking around. I saw no point in participating in this life, because I saw how I'm constructing it, and it felt so fake and so unreal. I was like, I would convince anyone, like, this is not real, this world is not real, this body is not real. That's what it was like. Then I figured out that that's not gonna take me anywhere, convincing everybody this is like, okay, it's not real. Then what do we do next? Kill yourself or what? Like, that doesn't really help, because I know where I'm gonna go. I don't really want to go there, so I should participate. Even though I know it's fake, I have no choice. I have to play this game, even though I know it's not real. Like, that's the only way to play it. That's the only way out of this game is through this game. I cannot escape. I cannot kill myself, because that's gonna take me back there, which I don't want. So I felt these 3 months, I felt like I'm so unstable. I was seeing things, I was hearing people's thoughts, and I was like getting downloads of information all the time. And it was like, I felt like my head is gonna blow up. And one of my friends, like, I felt that I'm really losing my mind. And one of my friends said that he knows a doctor in Istanbul who helped him once when he was losing his mind. He's like, it's a very good doctor. Let me take you to that doctor. And I agreed, because I had nothing to lose. I agreed. He took me to Istanbul to that doctor. I came to that doctor, and it was like a doctor, real doctor, but he appeared to be a Sufi master and Turk shaman also, like, side from the main job. And when I came, I didn't know that at that time. I came, and he was working with like mental patients and so on. So I thought, I'm like schizophrenic. He's gonna help me. That he works with such people. So I came, and he asked me to tell like my problem, and I told him what I was seeing. And he said, if you don't mind, I'm not gonna treat you, I'm going to teach you. Because what you're seeing is real. It's the things you're describing, it's the reality. You're seeing the reality as it is, but you just need skills to learn how to operate with all that stuff. And then he told me that he was a shaman and that he has those skills, and he was waiting for a student from my country. He's been told from his spirit guides told him years ago that a student is going to come from that part of the map. He was waiting, and apparently he was expecting a male, but here I was. And because the teacher was, at that time, he was 78. He was thinking that he's gonna pass and never have a student to pass his knowledge to. And so he was waiting for this student to come, and that was me. And that's what he told me, the basic things about shamanic practices. And I didn't even need to learn. He just showed me, and my memory just snapped. I just remembered. I had all those skills. It didn't even take me any time to remember all those ability to learn those abilities, because I didn't need to learn. I just remembered when he showed me, and right away I had the connection with the guides, and with the right away it just snapped.
Do you think that we can manipulate our construct here in a way that we can have the most amazing, joyful, abundant life?
We get what we are. So the answer is yes, we can manipulate what we are.
Okay.
And then the construct around us will reflect that. We cannot manipulate, like, we can try to manipulate the construct. That's what I did for my first 27 years. I was manipulating the construct. And that, at the end, I ended up, my wishes, actually, before I had my NDE, I was known for like having my wishes. Like, I would just make a wish and it would just come true, like miracles. My life was like, I was manipulating reality, but I was forcing it. I was pushing things the way I want. I was getting things like very easily. And that, I ended up in hell because I was manipulating that, the construct. And that's the way to hell. Because like the way to heaven here and after is to manipulate this, who I am.
And
That's what we can manipulate.
what's the best way to do that?
Just think what you want to experience. Start experiencing it. And if your logic is going to say like, you can't experience this, there's no proof, like, are you crazy? There's no no proof of this being real. And you just like, I'm happy, I'm loved, I'm rich, I'm successful, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, and you manipulate this by thinking the thoughts, because that's how you construct reality, by thinking it. And that's like, you're thinking the thought. By thinking that your thought becomes a concept, that concept creates the reality. So the concept, you have to work with what concepts are you thinking. And in order to be able to do that, you have to first go back to the understanding the mechanism of how you're actually suppressing majority of your thoughts and feelings. Because the thing is that you are not aware of a lot of your thoughts, as I'm not implying you exactly, but as we as humans, we're like, I think I'm happy. I have a lot of students who come to, I think I'm happy. I think, no, like when you actually read the field and you hear the person, you see the person suppressed so much anger, so much jealousy. So it's suppressed. She's not aware of it. It's suppressed anger. And on the surface, she's like, I'm such a loving person. I don't understand why people don't love me. I'm trying to do good for this. I don't know why my husband is cheating me. I don't understand why my kids hate me. I don't understand because I'm such a good person. And actually, she's suppressing who she is. She's suppressing like the anger, the rage. She's suppressing. So the recipe, let that out. Be who you are. If you're a devil, be that. Just let that out first. Trust, like, be who you are. Just be. Don't stop hiding it. Be that. Once you allow yourself to just be, then you can start thinking, okay, now you don't spend energy on suppressing. You allow yourself to be the beast, the evil. So you're, okay, I'm beast. Now, how do I create reality? So from this logic, we get when there is a line saying that Lucifer is it's his kingdom, 3D is his kingdom. From this point, like if you can be the Lucifer, if you can be the evil, if you can be the devil, you can create your reality. But first you must allow yourself to be the animal, the beast. Let all of that suppressed stuff out. Be, that's what I am. That's what I am. I'm terrible. I'm evil. I'm bad. Yeah, I'm jealous. I'm angry. I'm hungry forever. I want more. I want more money. I want more love. I want. When you allow yourself to express what you really are, relax. Then next, now, once I've expressed that, now what do I want next? And that's when you can manipulate the construct. But what I notice a lot, people start manipulating while you're suppressed, like everything is suppressed, you try to manipulate, it doesn't work. It works for a while, then it hits you back. Anything you create from the suppressed state, you'll get the money, and then it will be all taken from you just to see how you react. And you'll be happy for a moment with that love or that money. For the moment, it will give you some pleasure, not joy, pleasure. And from when that money or love will be taken away, the beast will come out. Like, how can you take that out? And that's a real you. Let that real you out. Because understand that that's beautiful. That's what you are. There's nothing ugly in this world. It's all supposed to be. That's what you are. Because your evil it also has a purpose. It also inspires people. It also makes, because I know even in those years when I was like evil, as I say, so many people loved me, and they're still in my life. They love me, they adore me, even in those years, even though I damaged them so badly in those years. But they say that my honest, like my honesty, my like me being so direct, so courageous, so like those qualities were inspiring people. There was like, even though like it was evil, like I was damaging them, but they're still in my life, and they're saying thank you for opening my eyes to who I was, for telling me right in my face who I was. Like nobody would tell me, and you would come and you would like tell those harsh words, you would say. And I was like, okay, even that was beautiful, even that is right, even that is natural. So if you're bad today, just be that. Just be that. Whatever comes out, you'll be bad to your limit. Be as bad as you can possibly be, and express what you are. When you will reach some limit. It's still, if you're raising kids and you see your kid is like being bad, don't hold that kid back. Don't say like, don't be bad, be better. Just let the kid be. He will reach his badness limit, and he will make his own choice who or he wants to be or she wants to be. So from that, when you allow yourself to be you, then you can manipulate the construct. Yes. Before that, no.
Do you think that we automatically reincarnate from one life to another, or do you think that we actually make some kind of contract and choose families and choose what we're going to do?
It's technical. Again, in that space, as I've imagined, there is no concepts there. It's a space in between, like, because to experience a concept, you need to experience feeling, for example, feeling of connection to somebody. You need a nervous system. You need the body. You need the hormones to feel something. So we are feeling here. That's why we're coming here, because it's like so fun to experience it. But in between lifetimes, the experience that the best I can describe is that the closest description is probably the law of attraction, probably. It's like, imagine if in this, yeah, let's use that space, for example, of that just ocean of information, which doesn't have to be bad. It's just ocean of information. It can be warm and welcoming if you are a positive soul. So that in that ocean of nothingness, in between lifetimes, you are part of everything. So you have access to everything, everywhere. But you do have specific technical characteristics as a soul. So out of all of this vast field of information, let's say it's like file cabinets of like so much information of that ever existed. So in that field, you will be pulled towards towards the files which resonate with you. And so like in order to think a thought, you have to, out of all this data, you have to pick one, pull it closer and think this thought. So you will pull the thoughts that are closest to what you are, closest to your frequency. So as for the soul, for reincarnation, for the family, you will reincarnate with for example, it's so hard to find like words to describe, because it will be like the soul, where is the mother and father in specific location have to resonate with who you are. Location has to be, you should have been reincarnating somewhere around there, or traveling somewhere around there, so you should know that place. You cannot reincarnate somewhere you've never been. It's so technically hard. It's like someone has to enter, like, and but technically you can incarnate with people and places that you can imagine, that you can think of, and in order to think, you should know them. So it will be a location where you've probably been or traveled before, and the family, especially the mother, is gonna be of very similar frequency to you. So let's imagine if you're like a ball, for example, of a specific diameter, and there is like a hole, like like a field of holes, and all holes have different diameter. In order to reincarnate, you must find the hole of the same diameter. With you, just in order to enter, it should be the mother frequency, the size, and my frequency have to be so similar. We have to have in our past lives, past story, we have to be dealing with the same problems for a long time. She's dealing with her ego. My mom is dealing with her ego for many lifetimes. And her mother also is dealing with the same. She's very strong, very clever, and very stubborn. And like, so they resonate. That's why I'm going to them. Because they've been doing the same thing. They will know, like, they will help me and I will help them. So we are not actually sitting on a cloud and choosing, but that can be described as that. I can say that in the beginning of my awakening journey, like first 3 years, I was using actually those allegories. My spirit guides, they were not giving me concepts directly as technical as I'm talking now. At first, they were showing me like for kids, when you need to explain like what is God, well, you will simplify and you will show like there's a man, there's angel with wings. You will simplify the story to make the child understand, because like you understand that he is not going to get the heavy concept of like technical language. So my guides were first telling me, like, we're sitting and choosing, you made agreement with this person, with that person. And then like maybe I'm getting into details. I don't know if I'm explaining well, but the concept is your perception of that space in between lifetimes will depend on your level of consciousness, if you're able to perceive concepts straight away, or if you need simplification. If you still need simplification, it will be shown to you as with people and shapes and things that will not scare you, things that you know. So it will be people who have bodies, who are sitting and talking. It depends on the level of your awareness and your development.
From what you have said to me, it appears that the guides have much more ability to exist on the other side than we do. What,
Yeah, okay, I get it.
are the guides the same type of being we are, or much more?
Let's say the way I see it, I will try to explain in the when I tried to, sometimes in the beginning, when I was like, why are we, like, if we're one team, because they were telling, like, we're working as a team. There's a team of guides, and we're together working on formulating these concepts. And they are kind of like, when I need to find information, I can request, and they are like channeling maybe to me. They were like finding the file for me and sending it to me. And in a way, I can say that this is me also. It's parts of me. Like I just split myself. I left some parts of me there and some part of me here in physical world. So the guides are parts of me, like my higher self, let's say. That term is also, it can be used. So I can describe them as separate beings, or I can describe them as part of my consciousness. But when I prefer to use them as separate, because then I can enjoy talking to them and making comments when I don't like something. So it's my choice to separate from them, because for me it's too hard to think that it's all me. It's just me, one, doing this whole thing, like creating everything. It's for my own comfort. I separate myself into a team. So I use that as a simplification also. But when I did try to like sometimes protest, like because like it's sometimes this work is pretty hard and I feel like it's too much, it's heavy, like what are you doing? And I try to protest and tell them like, okay, it's so easy for you. You're sitting there on clouds. It's so easy for you. Like, why am I the one doing this, all this hard work, this in this physical participating? For you, it's so easy. You don't have all this pain, all this trouble, all this stress and all these stuff. You're just there observing and always telling me everything is fine, everything is going to be. I'm like, "Yeah, it's so easy for you to tell, to say that." And they gave me like, do you want to experience? My question was, I was angry that they never communicate to me in sentences. Like they never tell me text, like, okay, go there, do this. They just download concept, and I'm supposed to, for example, forgive. And I'm like, okay, I did. They're like, nope, forgive. I'm like, okay, I did. They're like, nope, forgive. And they would be doing that for months. And I'm like, give me explanation. Like, what am I doing wrong? I think I did. They're like, no, keep doing, keep doing, keep forgiving. I'm like, I think I did. They don't give instructions or explanations. Yeah, it's my battery.
Let's go here. You said you had a YouTube channel. What is it called?
Irada's method.
Okay.
Irada is my name. Irada. Method is the name of my book. And the channel is called Irada's Method.
If people
I've
want,
just started it lately, but
if people want to find out more about your book, do you have a website or do they go to Amazon?
there it is on Amazon, registered at least. I wrote it 5 years ago, put it there, and forgot about it. So
Okay.
if someone is curious, you can find it on Amazon.
Do you have things that you're working on that you want people to know about?
So much, so much. But I've recently just started this battery is annoying me. But I recently just started this YouTube channel. Just started sharing because I have so much. I've information unpacked, and it will take me a while to just at least put that out, formulate the concepts, the main ones at least. That's what I'm doing. So if people are curious about those concepts, I will be posting more and more these days, formulating and posting. And other than that, I'm still working on the program. I'm working mostly in Russian, but I will be translating my courses in English soon, I hope. So if people are interested, if they let me know, if they want to get the courses that I teach for raising the awareness and shifting, and if they want to get those courses in English, let me know and I will start teaching in English as well.
What's the best way to contact you if they have a question?
For now, I guess the YouTube is the best way.
Just leave a comment.
Yeah, just in comments, I guess.
All right. Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
I guess the main message is that everything is always right. That's the wisdom of Sophia. That's the thing. If you can just carry that knowing in you, that will shine like the light on your life. There is nothing ever happening wrong in this universe. Everything is right, always. That is the main idea of this whole universe. If you learn to trust that, the life will unfold in very interesting ways.
I just have to ask because you mentioned it, and I'm just going to finish it up here. But who is Sophia? You said the message of Sophia.
Sophia is the consciousness that created this universe. It is the Sophia consciousness is the main program, which is the mother of this whole creation. You can call it Matrix, or you can call it Gaia, or you can call it Mother. And she has taken care of everything. Just trust, relax. It's all being considered and all being planned for.
All right.
Just be.
Wow. And it just ended just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Irada, thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it so much.
Me too. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.